by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. Another day of Jaguar training camp in the books. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in town. They will come to the Miller Electric Center tomorrow for joint practice number 1. Same two teams on Thursday. And then both Tampa Bay and Jacksonville will have somewhat of an off day Friday before they play a preseason football game on Saturday at Everbank Stadium. So 3 of the next 4 days, it will be all about the Jaguars and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The first time the Jaguars have had a joint practice here in a long, long time. It has been quite a bit. Last time I can remember, 2016, maybe 2017. It's been probably 7 or 8 years since a joint practice was here. Jacksonville has always traveled for these, but not now. As Tampa Bay rolls in, that'll be a heck of a lot of fun down to the Miller Electric Center both tomorrow and Thursday. And the same two teams play preseason game number 2 on Saturday evening. Of course, game you can hear right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. I was down at training camp earlier today. My Jaguar training camp one-on-one is with Josiah DeGuara, who actually led the Jaguars in receiving yardage on Saturday night in the victory over Kansas City. DeGuara, tight end, who spent the first 4 years of his career in Green Bay. In year number 5, a guy that just keeps making plays, man. Every time I see him on the practice field, he's doing something right. Obviously, on Saturday night, led the team in receiving yards. We'll see. I mean, will the team keep 4 tight ends? That's a question. Maybe 4 tight ends, 6 wide receivers, I don't know. But DeGuara is doing some nice things. And I think he's got a cool story. Remember, he was teammates with Darnell Savage last year in Green Bay. Josiah DeGuara also played with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. How do those guys compare to who he has now in Trevor Lawrence? So my Jaguar training camp one-on-one with Jaguar tight end Josiah DeGuara, that comes up in less than 15 minutes. Also, my buddy Brian Sexton of Jaguars.com. You hear him on the television play-by-play alongside Bucky Brooks on the Jaguar preseason telecast. Brian will join us in about 30 minutes from now, as we will not only look back on Kansas City, not only preview Tampa Bay, but we will look back on the first 3 weeks of Jaguar training camp that has been. Think about this for a second. The Jaguars have been in camp for 3 weeks. We are just over 3 weeks from the NFL regular season opener. 3 weeks from Thursday, it will be Baltimore, it will be Kansas City. Thursday night, September the 5th, to kick off the 2024 NFL regular season. So we're about halfway through when camp starts to where the regular season begins. So we'll review a lot of that with Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. That comes up in a little less than 30 minutes. But we're glad you're with us on a Tuesday here in the city of Jacksonville. As always, on Hacker After Dark, we kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So last night, I raved about the depth of this football team. And I mean it. It's the deepest team they've had clearly since Trent Baalke has been the general manager, coming into year number 4. And I've sung the praises of Trent Baalke basically the entire offseason. I know some of you still have not. I have. But when I've sung Trent Baalke's praises, it's normally about free agency. I normally cite Christian Kirk and Foye Oluokun, right? What he did this offseason with Darnell Savage and Eric Armstead. I don't normally talk about the draft because there is a perception out there that Trent Baalke has not had very good draft classes here in Jacksonville. And albeit some of that is true, but I did a deep dive into the numbers. I did a deep dive into the draft classes. And I got to tell you, I hate to let facts get in the way of a good, solid opinion, but what the facts will tell you, what the numbers will tell you, is in 4 NFL drafts, the way it looks right now, I think Trent Baalke's done a pretty good job. I think people saying he's not been good during the draft, or quite frankly, how he's been bad at the draft, is way overblown. So let's dive into the numbers briefly. Denmark. Trent Baalke, as the Jaguar general manager, has drafted 38 guys between 2021 and this past year, 2024, a few months ago. He's made 38 draft picks in 4 years. How many of those 38 are still on the Jaguar roster right now?
I'd probably say 28.
You say 28. It's not a bad guess.
Just random guess.
A little higher than that. 31.
Okay.
31 of the 38 guys that Trent Baalke has drafted are still here. So let's go individually. In 2021, Trevor Lawrence, that's a home run. Travis Etienne, that's a home run. Tyson Campbell, that's a home run. Walker Little, it's not a home run, but that's a decent pick. Andre Sisco, that appears to be a home run. And Luke Farrell in round 5, he's going to be on the team 4 years in a row. At worst, that's a ground rule double, right? 2022. Trayvon Walker, I believe, will be a home run in due time. Devin Lloyd, not a home run, but not a bad pick. Starter for the last 2 years. Going to be a starter 3 years in a row. Luke Fortner, yeah, that's not great. I'll ding him on that one, but Luke Fortner is going to be on the roster for the 3rd straight year. Chad Muma, again, I don't blame Muma for that. I think Muma's had a really good camp. I think Muma's going to contribute in Ryan Nielsen's defense. Should they have drafted Muma the same draft of Devin Lloyd? You can argue that, but Muma is a decent player. And then finally, Monteric Brown was a 7th-round pick. Buster Brown is good value in round 7. Good value. And that brings me to 2023. That brings me to last year's draft class, where they drafted 13 guys. Remember that? Remember all the belly aching and complaining? Oh, why are you drafting 13 guys? Well, in fairness, 2 of those guys did not make the roster. Derek Parrish and Raymond Vohasek. Remember them? Those were 2 of the 7th-round selections. Those guys are no longer here. But let's look at the other 11 guys that were a part of the 2023 draft class. The other 7th-round pick was a guy named Cooper Hodges. In the 6th round, the Jaguars took a couple of defensive backs, Eric Hallett and a guy named Christian Braswell. Braswell has been one of the stars of camp. In round 6 as well, the Jaguars took a wide receiver out of Penn State, Parker Washington. How's that pick working out? Round 5, Antonio Johnson was the selection out of Texas A&M. Also in round 5, Yasir Abdullah was taken last year. Abdullah had a sack 3 nights ago. Tyler Lacey in round 4. Ventrell Miller in round 4, one of the stars of camp this year. Tank Bigsby, round 3. Again, disappointing rookie campaign, absolutely disappointing. But he's looked darn good so far this camp. Brenton Strange, the jury is still out. And Anton Harrison was your first rounder. 10 of those guys and I talked with Brian Sexton about this earlier, 10 of those guys not only dressed on Saturday night for the Jaguars in their win over Kansas City, they performed. I mean, again, think about the names I just listed. Tank Bigsby was fantastic Saturday night. Ventrell Miller was all over the field. Yasir Abdullah had a sack. Parker Washington had that long kickoff return. Christian Braswell was the man in the secondary. And Cooper Hodges, for a 7th-round pick, looks like they found something there if he stays healthy. And then we know about the draft class this year, led, of course, by Brian Thomas, Mason Smith, Jarian Jones, who's become a training camp favorite already, Cam Little, who's become a training camp favorite already. I also like DeAndre Prince and Jordan Jefferson. Here's the point on Trent Baalke. I've praised him for the free agent acquisitions. I've kind of gone along with the crowd in saying, well, he doesn't necessarily draft very well. I disagree with that now when you look at the numbers. Again, 38 draft picks by Trent Baalke. 31 of those 38 as of right now are still on the Jaguar roster. Late round selections, round 4, 5, 6, or 7, includes Luke Farrell, includes Buster Brown, includes Cooper Hodges, Christian Braswell, Parker Washington, Antonio Johnson, Ventrell Miller, Yasir Abdullah. And late round picks this year include Cam Little, DeAndre Prince, Jordan Jefferson, Javon Foster. That's a good draft. Those are 4 good drafts, late round selections. Can you ding Baalke a little bit on Brenton Strange? Yeah. Can you ding Baalke a little bit on Luke Fortner? Yeah. Again, both of those guys I wouldn't consider chopped liver. They're both clearly going to be on the team. They're both going to have a role. Chad Mooma, the same thing. The more I think about it, man, and I'm trying not to be the cheerleader, the president of the Trent Baalke fan club, although it sounds like I'm turning into Trent Baalke fanboy. That's not my intention. My intention is to present you the facts. There's a lot of opinions about Baalke and his roster build here in Jacksonville. And again, I hate to let facts get in the way of a good opinion. But the facts are 31 of his 38 draft picks are here. The facts are he's done a terrific job in extending the likes of Tyson Campbell, Joshua Hines-Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Devon Hamilton, just to name a Foye Oluokun, just to name a few. The free agent acquisitions of a Christian Kirk, of a said Foye Oluokun, Brandon Sheriff, Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis, Devin Duvernay with a touchdown last week. I like the roster. I like it a lot. Doug Peterson's going to have a lot to work with. And why is Doug Peterson going to have a lot to work with? Because the job by the management team, the scouting department, and of course the head of all of that is Jaguar General Manager Trent Baalke. 641-1010 on the text line. Designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Your thoughts are welcome always here on Hacker After Dark. Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. Jaguar play-by-play television for preseason broadcasts alongside Bucky Brooks. He joins me in less than 20 minutes. Coming up next, my Jaguar one-on-one training camp interview. Earlier today down at the Miller Electric Center, I had the opportunity to catch up with a man that led the Jaguars in receiving yardage in Saturday night's win over Kansas City. Tight end Josiah DeGuara. The guys look good. I think he's on the bubble. Don't be shocked if he makes the 53-man roster. We'll talk to him next on Hacker After Dark.
The home of Jaguars fans.
We are Jaguars! We're 2 more, 2 or die, baby.
1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Hey, school's in session, and here's today's lesson. We have hundreds of new vehicles. Trax starting at $299 a month. Traverse for $399 a month. Silverados as low as $499 a month. And they all come with a 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. That means you and your soon-to-be drivers will be protected for the next 20 years. Plus, every purchase will help fund a teacher's project in our schools. Your next assignment, get to Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. Deadline August 31st. We're here to wow you and our teachers.
Did it rain a lot this morning?
No, it was nice and sunny.
Well, the backyard's kind of swampy.
Huh, yeah. Especially where the septic tank is.
Oh, no. When was the last time we had our septic tank pumped?
Don't neglect your septic. Just call Duck Duck Rooter, your local plumbing and septic experts. DuckDuckRooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Hello, I'm Malcolm Anthony. I've been practicing criminal defense law for over 40 years. It's what I love to do, it's what I do well. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 2854-LAW. 2854-LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
It's poker with a purpose. The Hold'em for Life Texas Hold'em Tournament at Blessed Trinity Parish Hall benefits the Women's Help Center with a focus on expectant mothers and newborns. If you'd like to play or sponsor, call 904-868-8873.
Help make Jacksonville safer and play a round of golf at the First Coast Crime Stoppers Golf Tournament October 21st at Amelia River Club.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
Having a mentor can positively change a young life right here in Jacksonville. It only takes 4 to 7 hours a month to be a big brother or big sister and change a life forever. Become a big today at bbsnefl.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
This is Frank Frangie. Join Dan Hickett and me for All Things Gators, our podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Monday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL Florida Gators Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or TuneIn.
Are you tired of living with constant pain from torn ligaments or nagging tendinitis and bothersome joint pain? Say goodbye to endless medications and invasive surgeries. Go BioTarget Regenerative Treatment is available only at injury care centers. Their innovative approach helps you recover faster and get back to doing what you love without drugs or surgery. Don't just treat the symptoms, target the root cause with BioTarget. Visit GoBioTarget.com to learn more and schedule your appointment today.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
For over 40 years, Play It Again Sports has served its customers with a winning, sustainable shopping model. Could say, we were recycling before recycling was cool. Save on quality used sporting goods for baseball, softball, lacrosse, hockey, golf, tennis, and more. Or sell us your gently used gear. We buy all sports, all seasons, and offer cash on the spot. Stop by Play It Again Sports today on Merrill Road near 295 or online at playitagainsports.com.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting!
Ackerman Cancer Center's Total Body MRI is the latest technology in early detection. This comprehensive imaging goes beyond regular scans, providing a holistic view of your health in one 60-minute scan. Schedule your Total Body MRI at AckermanCancerCenter.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us. My training camp one-on-one with tight end Josiah DeGuara is less than 2 minutes away. So I got this on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Again, all thoughts are welcome. I don't necessarily have to agree with them, but they are welcome. And I certainly don't agree with this one. I've often said, and this is evidence of that, prime evidence of that it doesn't really matter what Trent Baalke does. He can do a great job. Some people have just made up their minds on him. The 536 on the text line, Baalke gets zero credit for the 2021 draft, I guess, because Urban Meyer had the final say on all personnel decisions. All right, so you're going to sit there and tell me that Urban Meyer, who did not know who Joe Mixon was, did not know countless people in the NFL. Obviously, we saw how much Urban Meyer cared about professional football by his actions here. You're going to sit there and tell me that Urban Meyer was pounding the table for a guy like Tyson Campbell in round 2. That's what he was doing? He was pounding the table for Walker Little? Now, he might have known who those guys were, but do you think Urban was beating his chest to try to get a corner in here? Urban's an offensive guy. Urban wanted to draft Kadarius Toney in round 1. Thankfully, the Giants took him and the Jaguars took a guy named Travis Etienne instead. Absolutely, I give Trent Baalke credit for some of those picks. I don't give him any credit for Trevor Lawrence. My Boston Terrier could have picked Trevor Lawrence. But I do give him credit for some of the other guys. Again, say what you will, man. This team sucked when Trent Baalke inherited. They were awful. 1 win in 2020, 3 wins in 2021. They've won 19 games, including the playoffs, the last 2 years. And why have they done that? Because of Doug Peterson, who's a big part of this, and his staff. I'm not underplaying them. They're a huge part. But they are only the sum of the parts that Trent Baalke and the management team gives them. And Trent Baalke and the management team have done a heck of a job, in my opinion. Has everything been perfect? Nope. Have there been a couple of bad spots? Yep. I'm not saying Trent Baalke's been perfect. But he's been very, very good a majority of the time. By the way, another Baalke free agent acquisition, Eric Armstead, now officially off the PUP list. He can start practicing, I believe, tomorrow, from the sounds of it. I doubt we see him very much this week. Maybe some individual stuff still. But it will not be long until we see Eric Armstead on the field in Ryan Nielsen's defense. You combine him with Travon Walker, Joshua Hines-Allen, Foye Oluokun, Campbell, Cisco. There's potential there, man. There's no doubt about that. There's potential in that Jaguar tight end room as well. They're looking for somebody to emerge after Evan Ingram. Britton Strange could be that guy. Luke Farrell, I like him. I also like Josiah DeGuara. 3 grabs for 42 yards on Saturday night in the win over Kansas City. DeGuara played in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love last year. Let's compare those two to Trevor Lawrence. Let's talk about going from the frozen tundra to Jacksonville Beach. I think DeGuara is square on the bubble. I like DeGuara. He had the opportunity to join me after the training camp practice was concluded at the Miller Electric Center earlier today. Here's that conversation on Hacker After Dark. All right, Jaguar training camp, Miller Electric Center, wrapping things up on a Tuesday. We got Jaguar tight end Josiah DeGuara here with us on 1010XL. Josiah, how we doing?
Doing great, man. Blessed to be here.
Good practice today, full pads. I noticed right after you got off the field, right to the jugs machine. You've done that pretty consistently all of camp. It's a great work ethic you have.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been my routine since I got into the league, even back into college and high school. So stick with my routine and continue to just, be the best player I can.
Led the team in receiving yards on Saturday in the win over Kansas City. What went right for you out there on Saturday night?
We were just having fun, man. I just went out there and went out with the guys and executed the game plan. Coaches called up great plays, and Mac and CJ and Trevor were throwing some great balls, so just did my part of the job.
4 years in Green Bay. You found yourself here in Jacksonville this offseason. What was it about Jacksonville that led you here?
Yeah, it was just the coaches, the atmosphere, the players, just everything about it, man. It's definitely been a grind here this offseason, and it's been fun to be a part of.
Let's talk about some of those coaches and players. Doug Peterson, we know how much he loves getting the tight ends involved. We see the success Evan Ingram's had. What is it about Coach Peterson, Press Taylor? Why do they do so well with tight ends in this league?
Yeah, I mean, Evan's one of the best tight ends in the league, so it's been great to just be in that room, learn from him, and hear what he has to say, different points here and there. So it's been fun to watch him each and every day, learn from him, and continue to better my game because of it.
Training camp's interesting all over the league. It's especially interesting here, the amount of new guys, right? You got to gel pretty quickly. Do you think this team has done that so far this training camp?
Yeah, 100%. I think we showed it on Saturday night. And as an offense, we've been up and down throughout camp, but I think we've been making strides each and every day to become the unit we want to become, and just go out there every day and continue to improve.
One of the things that's noticeable to us, and I'm sure you guys feel it, it's a deep team, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of guys making plays out there. You can sense how deep this team is, correct?
Yeah, 100%, man. I think you could tell on Saturday night, right? Like the ones went in and scored, twos went in and scored, threes went in and scored. It didn't matter who was out there. Everybody was pushing the ball down the field on offense. Defense was stopping the ball. So it's definitely a deep team, and you try to make it hard on the coaches and the guys upstairs because of it. So it's been cool.
A couple of more for Jaguar tight end Josiah DeGuara. So you look at the wide receiver room, obviously, the guys you work with every day, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk, certainly. What have you seen from those guys?
Yeah, I mean, they're playmakers, man. They're fun to watch, what they're able to do in space and man coverage, be able to read the defense. Like, it's pretty cool to watch. So me personally, man, in the past catching side of playing tight end, I just learned from it, watch them and see what I could do to take part of their game and put it into mine. From
Jordan Love last year to Trevor Lawrence this year, two pretty good quarterbacks you've had to work with. What do you like about Trevor?
Trevor's a man. It's been great to get to know him. Obviously, he's a great leader, a great quarterback, and it's fun to be his teammate. And obviously, I've been blessed to play with 2 or 3 great quarterbacks in my career so far. So there's no drop off with Trevor at all. He's one of the best in the league.
Probably should have mentioned Aaron Rodgers too, right? I think he deserves some credit.
Yeah, that's another one.
Obviously you're a veteran. You would have adjusted anyway, but you come down here with Darnell Savage, who was also in Green Bay. What's that been like having a guy that joined the same team as you?
Yeah, it's been fun, man. Sav was actually my locker mate, so we spent 4 years next to each other in the locker room. So it's been cool to transition to Jacksonville together. And obviously he's going to be a huge part of this team. It's been fun competing against him in Green Bay and continuing to do so, and also just being a great friend out here as well.
As we begin to wrap up, Ryan Nielsen in the defense for the Jaguars, they were getting after it against Kansas City on Saturday night. What's it like to compete against those guys every day?
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday, man. They make us a lot better. Offense makes the defense better. Defense makes the offense better, and I'm definitely going against those guys each and every day. It's a tough task, and we're definitely improving because of it.
Joint practice with the Buccaneers tomorrow and Thursday. What do you get out of those? What do you like about those?
Man, it's just it's some of the most fun practices you'll have all year. Just because you're not going against your own teammates, it gets tiring going against the own guys sometimes. So to be able to have another team in here, just be able to compete. Obviously, emotions are flying high, but it's fun to do it in a practice setting because you do it in a game, and to do it in a practice setting and be able to compete like that against another team, it always makes both teams better.
Final question for you: you're all football, obviously, right to the jugs machine after practice. But when you're not on the football field, what are some of the things you like to do here in the city of Jacksonville?
Golfing, man. Yeah, I was here all summer golfing, and, when the wife's out here with the putt, going to the beach, stuff like that. But golfing's my main thing.
From the frozen tundra to Jacksonville Beach must be quite the change.
Yeah, we've been enjoying it, man. Definitely my wife been enjoying it out there by the beach for sure. So,
Josiah, really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Always thank you to the Jaguars PR staff for helping us out with these training camp interviews. Really enjoyed that conversation with Josiah DeGuara. And again, I think he's square on the bubble. If they keep 4 tight ends, I believe he's going to make the team. We'll see what happens. But he's looked good at practice, and he looked good Saturday night in the win over Kansas City. The man that was on the television call for that game alongside Bucky Brooks is my buddy Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. Let's talk with Brian about training camp, review the Kansas City game a little bit, and look ahead to tomorrow and Thursday, a couple of joint practices here in Jacksonville at the Miller Electric Center as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers come in. I'm certainly looking forward to that. Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com next. Tuesday night, Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Florida State. Subscribe to 1010XL Seminoles YouTube channel, up-to-the-minute updates, analysis, and more. Plant the spear and subscribe to 1010XL Seminoles channel today.
Hacker here with a new opportunity for you. The 20-pound summer slim down with Awaken 180 weight loss. Dropping 20 pounds before summer ends, cruising to your goal of 30, 40, 50-plus pounds down. It's simple. You take the last few weeks of summer, eating, drinking, enjoying the weather, but the difference? You're doing it with the 20-pound summer slim down. But you say, Hack, summer's almost over. Well, that's the point. The pounds melt off fast with Awaken 180. I dropped my first 20 in less time, and that easy 20 propelled me to reach my goal of losing over 85 pounds. Think about it. You're about to slide back into the same old fall routine with the same old mindset. Mix it up. Live up the rest of your summer while dropping the first 20. Then jump into fall with a whole new groove. Yeah, I said it, and you'll be saying it too in just a few weeks. 20-pound summer slim down with the solution for weight loss. Online, awaken180weightloss.com.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, an asphalt marketer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Sheldon Fish. Today's category, air conditioner repair experts in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, I bet it's going to be Bueller.
Your question. Unlike Jacksonville, the Sahara Desert has a complete lack of air conditioner repair experts. What kind of camels do they ride?
That's not really a question about air conditioner repair.
5 seconds.
But that's a camel question.
Pick a camel, Sheldon.
The Arabian dromedary.
That's right, Sheldon. Like the majestic Arabian dromedary, the skilled technicians at Bueller Air and Plumbing can repair any make and model of air conditioner the same day you call, making sure you are cool.
They don't spit, do they?
No, but Steve, the new guy, has a bit of a hump.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Oh my goodness. Fishing is more fun when you catch something. Yeah! Listen for the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show with Captain Kevin. Woo-hoo! Brought to you by Veterans Wholesale Cabinets and Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Blue for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's got to be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
For a chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to the Coke Zero Sugar 400 August 24th at Daytona, answer this question. Who won last year's Coke Zero Sugar 400? Text the driver's last name to 641-1010.
I'm Mark Cohen, new publisher of the Jacksonville Business Journal, and I'm thrilled to rejoin the community. This event of the year is quickly approaching. The Fast 50 Award celebrates the fastest growing companies in Northeast Florida, August 15th at 3:30. Join us for an unforgettable afternoon of mingling with Northeast Florida trailblazers, high-level networking, and learning where these companies stand. Time is ticking and tickets are flying off the shelf, so grab yours before August 13th. JBJEvents.com.
David Ammon here with Zero Res. So Ammon, your mom mentioned it's been a year since we did a complete house cleaning. The kitchen tile and living room floors are looking pretty dingy. It's time to call Zero Res.
That's right. Most folks know that Zero Res does an amazing job at cleaning their carpets and rugs, but they don't know that Zero Res can clean their tile and grout, LVP, and wood floors.
And right now, Zero Res is offering 25% off all hard floor cleaning. Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. We are now 3 weeks into Jaguar training camp, one preseason game already in the books. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers roll in this week for 2 joint practices, and they will play on Saturday night against the Jaguars at Everbank Stadium. With all that being said, let me go to my buddy Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. You also hear his call during Jaguar preseason broadcasts with Bucky Brooks. Brian, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Brian, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
Brian, we're good. Thank you for the time, and I wanted to tell you on the air, I told you this earlier at the Miller Electric Center, always enjoy you and Bucky on the preseason broadcast, man. Really good job on the call Saturday night.
Well, I appreciate that. We've worked together a couple of years, and even though we only do 3 games, he's a total pro, so we got a little something going. And with a good team, and they played a pretty good game, that helps you have a good broadcast.
We got a lot to get into, and I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about the joint practices with Tampa. But, Brian, you and I haven't spoken on the air since training camp began. It's been about 3 weeks now. Just in totality, a mile-high view, your thoughts 3 weeks into Jaguar training camp.
That they checked off a lot of the boxes that they said they needed to back in January when the coach and the general manager met with the media. They wanted to get bigger. They wanted to get stronger. They wanted to be more physical. And I think all of those things are evident, whether you're talking about, new guys like Mitch Morse, who brings a bigger presence in the center, or Eric Armstead. We haven't seen him yet, but when you just watch him walk, you realize what he's capable of, what he's healthy. Or guys like Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen, who both came back over 280 pounds, right? So each one of them put on more than 10 pounds of muscle, and they look great. They wanted to be that. They wanted to be bigger, stronger. They wanted to be faster, more explosive. Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis give them both of those things. So, the list is long, but they wanted to remake this team, change the way that they were built. And I think they did that. And I think they've given themselves a chance to go out and compete for the AFC South title this year.
Brian, you've seen 3 decades worth of training camp with numerous head coaches and coaching staffs here in Jacksonville. Look, it's hard to rank them all individually, but off the top of your head, is this one of the more physical training camps you can remember here in Jacksonville?
Well, I mean, I think you got to look at it in the eras, right? I mean, when Tom Coughlin was the coach and even the early days of Jack Del Rio, they practiced twice a day in pads. So it's not even close to what those were. But in terms of recent memory, where training camp is a practice and there's only so many of them in pads, and then you go indoors for the walkthrough in the afternoon. And look, the old guys, right? I mean, Baselli and Lageman just laughed. They would have loved to have had this. But the reality of it is that this has been a physical camp compared to recent camps, but compared to what football used to be, no, it's not overly physical.
That's a fair point. Yeah, you remember the days of Coughlin. You mentioned Del Rio. Fair point. Yeah, that's a good point in that the recent memory, Doug Peterson, certainly since Peterson has arrived here, I guess.
Well, it's more physical than last year, right? I mean, I think last year they realized that they had a talented team. And I think that Doug, looking back at that, would probably tell you he should have been more demanding instead of trying to get his team healthy to the regular season, which is what coaches do these days, which is why I think you're seeing a more physical camp. Now, they're not live to the ground. There only, I think, 2 practices have any of that. And tomorrow's practice against the Buccaneers will not. They'll be in full pads and they'll be, thud, right? But they will be very careful not to get anybody in a position where they will be carted off the field and not available for opening weekend. So it's just one of those things where Doug is trying to get this team over the hump. And, when you look back at his statement in the offseason, Ryan, where he talked about bringing in players from organizations that had experienced winning, whether at a high level like San Francisco and Eric Armstead and now Sean Gibson, or Gabe Davis and Mitch Morse from Buffalo, where even though they hadn't played in a Super Bowl, they'd been to an AFC title game, they'd had some deep playoff runs, bringing those kinds of players and coaches, right? He wanted to bring those types of personalities and that type of experience to a team and into the locker room that didn't have it last year when things got tough. When things started to fall apart, he didn't have those guys he could lean on. And so he's brought them in, and he's trying to have a camp that's conducive to that mindset.
Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. You also hear him on the play-by-play on the Jaguar preseason broadcast. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Brian, one of the things Doug Peterson and Press Taylor and Ryan Nielsen, quite frankly, although Nielsen wasn't here last year, one thing they've all alluded to is working in more guys together. Last year, when all those injuries accumulated, guys maybe hadn't worked together and the chemistry wasn't there. And then all throughout camp, you're seeing much different combinations, many more guys working in with the first team, some of the first team guys working in with the second team. And I think that's in direct correlation to maybe some of the struggles the Jaguars had to end the 23 season.
Well, Ryan, what it really is that they want to get young players on the field. There was a resistance last year to put too many young guys out there for a team that had high expectations based on 2022. But when push came to shove, you didn't have – Tank Bigsby's a great example. He wasn't ready. He was not ready because he didn't play enough early in the season. And so you have this push to get these younger guys out there. They were drafted for a reason. It's the coach's job to get them ready to play. And they want these guys ready to play. So from Doug on down, the challenge is I don't want to see, I don't want to talk, I don't want to hear about all these young guys. And if they're going to evolve, the only way we're going to find out is if we get them out there on the training camp field, Ryan, in the preseason games. And you look at what happened Saturday night. 10 of the 11 draft choices from the 2023 class. There are 2 that aren't here because that was the biggest class in franchise history. The last 2 guys didn't make it. But there are 11 guys, and 10 of those 11 played and made plays on Saturday night against Kansas City. Only Anton Harrison, who we know can play, wasn't available. But, I mean, whether you're talking about Ventrell Miller, Eric Hallett, Christian Braswell, Cooper Hodges, I mean, all of these guys were out there.
Abdullah, Yasir Abdullah with a sack, yeah.
Brenton Strange, if Beathard puts that ball where it's supposed to be, then on that crosser, Strange may score, right? And we saw what Bigsby brought to the table. So there are a lot of talented players from that class that didn't get to play last year, but they played last Saturday night, and they all flashed. Parker Washington, right? I mean, all of these guys have something to offer. And so there is a big push to make sure that the young guys are on the field a lot.
Brian, what's your opinion been on Trevor Lawrence so far?
Good. He looks good. He came back bigger. We don't see, because we're not there in the meetings and we're not in the locker room right now, and nor are we around in the evening. We don't see all the leadership that we keep hearing about, that he's more vocal, that he's more demanding. If that is true, then it's outstanding news. Because if you look at any of the great quarterbacks, right? I mean, Mahomes in particular, he went nuts on the sideline at the end of that Buffalo game at Kansas City last year. Not that you have to go nuts, but you got to take control. And they have been pushing him. He's a good kid. He's a nice guy. They have been pushing for him to become outspoken, the guy. They paid him to be that guy, right? They believe in the player. Now he needs to take that next step, and this needs to be his team, and everybody needs to be on the same page. I've heard it time and again from people who worked and covered the Indianapolis Colts that Peyton Manning was he was a beloved teammate. He's a great player, but they hated playing with him at times because he would berate you. He would challenge you. He made sure everybody knew what the standard was. Well, that's the next step for Trevor. And everybody who knows him believes he's capable of that. And apparently that is happening, even though we don't see it or hear it. But that's the next step for him. You can't deny the physical ability. You just can't. And he's a hardworking guy who understands the game, and he's got great coaches. His next step is for him to understand, I'm the man, and I have to do it. And everyone says he understands that, and he has understood that. And that next step is for him to say, okay, if it is to be, it's up to me. And I think if he does that, we'll see the guy that he always talks about. He knows how good he is, right? He said that multiple times in front of the media. We'll see that guy this year.
A couple more for Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. You'll also hear him on the television play-by-play this Saturday night with the Jaguars and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Everbank Stadium. Brian, one of the things that's very apparent to me, and I asked Doug Peterson about this earlier in the week, is the depth on this football team. Clearly, in Trent Baalke's 4 training camps as Jaguar full-time general manager, this is the deepest team I can ever remember. I mean, they're going to have some tough decisions at the back end of wide receiver, the back end of the secondary, I think on both lines of scrimmage as well. They're going to have to cut some names that fans know, some guys that have played regular season football, because they simply don't have room for some of these guys. Your thoughts overall on the depth of this roster?
Well, it's time for people who have banged the drum and not believed in what Trent Baalke has done to accept the fact that he's built a good roster. And it is loaded with young players, first and second year players, and they have to make this team, Brian. They just do. Because when you pay Trevor Lawrence, Tyson Campbell, Joshua Hines-Allen, and you want to pay Andre Sisco, you want to pay Walker Little, right? These are guys that you drafted and developed. You got to have those young, less expensive players. I don't want to say inexpensive because nobody in the NFL is inexpensive, but guys that play for a lower number for a fixed number of years. This is about draft and develop. And I know people get tired of hearing that, but really, we've talked it, but we haven't had to do that in Jacksonville because they haven't had to pay a quarterback. Well, now these guys have to get in here and play. And the onus now, there really is a microscope on the personnel department because they have to deliver guys that the coaches can develop. And I think what you're seeing is that Baalke has done that. 11 guys out of 13, that's an astronomical success rate. If that's what it turns out to be, it'd probably be somewhat less than that. 8 out of 13 and 4 starters would be a phenomenal draft class from 2023. And that is legitimate. That could happen. I think what they've done is they put themselves in a position behind Trevor Lawrence to be able to compete, because you can't go to the free agent well when your own guys are eating up the majority of your salary cap. And that's the way to build a winner. That's how you succeed in professional football. You draft guys, you believe in them. I mean, look at Kansas City, right? They have 4 Hall of Famers that they drafted that have been there in recent years. Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Chris Jones. Those aren't guys that you signed as free agents. Those are guys that you saw something special in, that you grabbed in the draft, and then you put in a position, and they went out and became Hall of Famers. I'm not saying you've got those guys here, But you keep drafting well and have a coaching staff that can coach, and I think these guys can, you have a real chance to build a roster that can compete.
Brian, as we begin to wrap up, you're around the team every day. You cover all the practices, and so you might have a better feel for this than most, certainly. My genuine thought when I talk to these guys and to listen to them, from Evan Ingram, Dewey Wingard before he got hurt, even a guy like Dearness Johnson, who I talked to earlier this week, well, that collapse at the end of last year still bothers them. Here we are 7 months after the fact, and every time I bring it up, you could tell that raises the hair on the back of their neck a little bit. I do think, because sometimes something like that will happen with pro athletes and they'll just toss it aside. I don't believe this team, at least the ones that were here last year, have tossed that aside. I think that's motivating them a little bit. What's your thought?
Oh, it is. No, you're absolutely on to that. I spent some time with Doug Peterson in our production meeting last Friday, and he said he hasn't put that away entirely. He's functionally put it away because he can only worry about 2024 and the players and coaches he's got with him right now. He can't let the past linger too much over it. But they talked about it a lot, and they executed a game plan that they put together in response to what happened last year. So everyone knows it, right? It's that forgive but don't forget. You can forgive somebody who wrongs you, but you don't have to necessarily forget about it. Well, they've forgiven themselves of last year because they have got to be focused on what's coming. But they haven't forgotten it at all, and they understand how precious opportunities are in professional football. That team last year should have won the division. They didn't, because they couldn't come through and win a single ball game at the end. Now, you can talk about all the reasons why that didn't happen, but they still should have beaten the Titans on the final Sunday of the year. They were a better football team, but they didn't come to play. Well, no one's going to forget that, right? They've got one division title, but careers are short. You don't know how long a guy's going to be around. An injury, or they draft a hot shot that replaces a safety or a wide receiver. But each year's team is 1 year. You build for this year. And those guys look back at last year and go, we blew it. We're not going to blow it again. You just don't know how many opportunities you get. And so, like you, I've talked to a lot of those guys through the offseason, and they are absolutely resolute that they are not going to miss an opportunity this year, which means they have to push each other as well as themselves and take advantage of every opportunity they get.
I also get the vibe they really enjoy people talking about the Texans and the Colts nationally. They kind of like being almost the forgotten team, if you will. Brian, leave us with this. You've seen a lot of joint practices over your years. Tampa Bay comes in for Wednesday and Thursday sessions at the Miller Electric Center. For fans going out there, what can they expect both tomorrow and Thursday?
Well, there's a level of intensity that goes up, right? I mean, these guys, they're energetic about the opportunity. Instead of lining up against the same receiver or the same offensive lineman, these guys on the other side of the ball get to play and show their skills and prove to the coaches that they have made progress towards where they need to be. So there's an energy level that comes with that. It's more fun for them, both sides of it. I would focus on the offensive and defensive lines, right? I mean, yes, you're going to see the quarterbacks throw the ball down the field, Trevor Lawrence and Baker Mayfield, and that's fun, and people like the fun side of it. But if you want to get something out of the joint practices, watch the Jags offensive line versus the Bucs defensive line and vice versa. That's really where you get to tell if you're better, if you're improved in the middle of that offensive line, because Vita Vea is a beast. You don't move him very well. And this team needs to be able to convert on third down and 3 yards or less. That killed them last year. Took away any cohesiveness, any momentum that they could build on offense. They were always walking off, punting. So we talked about them being better. We'll see tomorrow. We'll have a better idea of how much better they are on the offensive and defensive lines.
Brian, we look forward to the call. You and Bucky Brooks, Saturday night, Tampa Bay and Jacksonville. Quickly, with that broadcast, also the great work you do at Jaguars.com, what's coming up in the coming days?
Well, they're working hard to get another episode of The Hunt out, and that is as insider access as any team gets. Trent and Doug have been great to us, and the group that puts it out, I have nothing to do with it. The group that puts that out puts an enormous amount of energy and a lot of pride into putting out something that takes the fans somewhere they couldn't otherwise get. So keep your eye out for that, because I just see the way that they're working on that. It has incredible potential. and I'm excited to see the next episode.
Brian Sexton. Brian, I know you're busy, brother. Thank you for taking time out. I'll see you down there at camp.
Looking forward to it, Ryan. Take care.
Sports for 1,000.
The only sports radio station in Jacksonville worth listening to.
Who is 1010XL?
We have a winner. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Care you can see.
Your Jaguars are back for another preseason matchup as we take on our neighbors to the west, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Meet us at the bank Saturday, August 17th for a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. This is your last chance to see the Jags before the regular season kicks off. So lock in your tickets today by calling 904-633-2000 or online at jaguars.com/tickets.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just a job, but an experience, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors, and with great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? How about scheduling a free consultation or just stop by the Pella showroom right there on Phillips Highway next to Tesla. Pella's professional consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. From simple projects to complex renovations, their team has the experience needed to make your project a success. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast orthopedic specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast orthopedic specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast orthopedic specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast orthopedic specialists.
If you're tired of your fence looking like a bad hair day, well, it's time for a fence makeover with Superior Fence and Rail. They'll make your yard the talk of the town with a new fence installed by their expert team.
Your fence is fantastic. My fence is giving all of my neighbors some serious pick and envy. Thanks, Superior Fence and Rail.
So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your fence installation project today.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
When pests invade your space, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, we show up for you and eliminate pests quicker. Because we care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so do we. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjax.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Who were the last astronauts who walked on the moon over 50 years ago? The answer next.
Southern Oak Insurance knows that you want to save money on your homeowner's insurance. So why not try some old-fashioned common sense? Ask your Southern Oak agent about our roof replacement schedule. It will save you money.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Eugene Cernan and Harrison Schmidt were the final 2 astronauts who have walked on the moon.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours. Imagine driving a late model Corvette, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Honda, Chevy, Ford, and more, all at a fraction of the original sticker price. Visit Vaughn Motor Group's indoor showroom and browse a great selection of dream cars that are inspected with warranties. Before you make your next auto purchase, check out Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard or at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We will take you up till 10 o'clock tonight as we do every night. Here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. A reminder, pretty sure you guys probably know this by now, but in the event that you do not, or just simply need a refresher, every show here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM, you can stream on the MyBookie digital platform. You just simply go to YouTube YouTube or Facebook, Twitter/X, all your social media content, search 1010XL. And whether it's Hacker After Dark, The Drill, Jaguars Today, Primetime, Heels, Frangie, Baloo, you name it, we're all there for your viewing pleasure. Also, the 1010XL Jaguars page on YouTube. Got over 1,000 people, I believe, already signed up for that thing in a very short amount of time or subscribed to that thing. All of our one-on-one interviews from Jaguar training camp are all right there. Just search 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube, and that'll take you to all our Jaguar-related content. NFL news on this Tuesday, August the 13th. Bad news in Minneapolis. We'll get to that in a moment. We had a retirement in the NFL that involves a former Jacksonville Jaguar, Tavon Austin, who has not played in the NFL, I believe, in a couple of years. In fact, I wonder if that year here in Jacksonville in 2021 was that his last year. Let me look that up. But nevertheless, he has announced his retirement from the National Football League. You know, Tavon Austin is a guy that came in here to Jacksonville. I didn't expect anything from him when the Jaguars signed him. Absolutely nothing. And then granted, 2021 was a terrible year for the team. But all in all, Tavon Austin had a pretty decent year here in Jacksonville. Wasn't bad. Found the end zone, had some nice returns and special teams. Caught 24 passes. Heck, 24 passes. There was a time here where that was a good year. Tavon Austin ultimately finishes his NFL career with 244 catches for just over 2,239 yards, 16 touchdowns as well. Spent time with the Rams, the Cowboys, Green Bay, and indeed, his final year was right here in Jacksonville in 2021. So Tavon Austin calling it a career today as an NFL wide receiver. Another NFL wide receiver in the news, Jamar Chase, because he is not at Cincinnati Bengals camp. How messy could this potentially get? Now, we saw all the receivers that got paid this offseason. From Tyreek Hill to Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson. A lot of money went to these wide receivers. Calvin Ridley in free agency was another one. The two guys that did not get paid were CeeDee Lamb in Dallas and Jamar Chase in Cincinnati. And, of course, those are the two guys that are angry about it and are not reporting to camp. Chase has been to camp, but has now apparently left camp. Denmark, we're 26 days away from week 1 of the NFL, the first Sunday of the year. How messy does the Jamar Chase thing get in Cincinnati where they find common ground before then?
I don't know, now that you say that. Most of the guys, I think like CD is going to come back and play. Ayuk, I'm exhausted from the Ayuk news. Just tell me what's going to happen and then let me just move on. Jamar Chase, I don't know. I just think it's a year. I don't know why I know why he's doing it, but all these guys are getting paid because, like, Justin Jefferson was drafted a year before him, so he got his money. Jamar Chase, I don't know. The owner and the GM said that they're not going to pay him until next year. So I don't know. It depends on what he wants, I guess.
And Dallas has all sorts of issues. It's not just CeeDee Lamb. It's Dak Prescott. Micah Parsons is going to be due for an extension soon.
Yeah, they did bad business.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they had 3 guys at the same time up.
Yeah, Dallas did very bad business. As far as Jamar Chase goes, I don't blame him for being a little upset, a little angry. He sees what all these other guys are getting. He wants his slice of the pie, too. Cincinnati came out publicly, like you said, and they announced that they'd have no intention to do that this offseason. So Jamar Chase a little angry about that. We'll see. 26 days away. You hate to have contract issues hanging over one of the best players on your team. That apparently is what Cincinnati has regarding Jamar Chase. Quickly to Minneapolis, bad news for the Vikings is J.J. McCarthy, their first-round quarterback, complained of knee soreness over the weekend. An MRI revealed he's got meniscus issues. It's going to require surgery. Now, we don't know the extent of it, whether it was a full-blown tear or they just need to go in and clean some things out. But what we do know is it's surgery on a knee for a top 10 quarterback that was taken in April's draft. That's never a good combination. Now, the Minneapolis spin on this, and one of my best friends is a Viking fan, Sam Darnold was going to start the year anyway. The idea was Darnold starts, and depending on where they are, probably the middle point of the season, then maybe you start working J.J. McCarthy in. That might still happen, but who knows if J.J. McCarthy will be available week 7, week 8. I mean, surgery on the knee is surgery on the knee here in the middle part of August. Certainly not something you like to see. As far as the other rookie quarterbacks, Denmark, I got to tell you, preseason week 1, Jaden Daniels looked pretty good. Caleb Williams, all right, looked pretty good. Drake May barely played in New England. Bo Nix, I thought, looked pretty good in Denver, all things considering. I think Bo Nix is much more in the conversation to be the starter in Denver than maybe we've been led to believe with Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, he's a starter week 1.
I don't know if I'm ready to announce that yet or, make that a proclamation, but after what I saw on Sunday, it's probably more of a rebuild in Denver anyway. Why not throw Bo Nix out there and see what he's got? By the way, of any rookie quarterback ever in the National Football League, and I mean this, is anybody more prepared than Bo Nix? That guy started like 60 games in college football. He's got to have the record for the most starts of any college quarterback. It's insane how many games Bo Nix started. That should get him a pretty good learning curve as he enters the NFL. But I thought the rookie quarterbacks looked good. Caleb Williams is the guy in Chicago. Jaden Daniels is the guy in Washington. We believe Bo Nix potentially is the guy in Denver. McCarthy's hurt, and Drake May. Drake May doesn't look very good right now. We'll see what happens as he develops there with the New England Patriots. Finally, did you see Gerard Mayo? They're having one of these practices like the Jaguars and the Bucks are having. I forget who the Patriots are going with a joint practice, but another NFL team. Gerard Mayo reportedly told his guys on the team plane, if you get into a fight, if you start it and you're a starter, you're going to have to play the entire preseason game this weekend. If you're a reserve and you start a fight, you're not playing in the preseason game this weekend. People are tired of these fights. Gerard Mayo, I like that. First-year head coach in New England, kind of lay the law down to your guys. We'll talk a little college football in the near future. My buddy Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly on Hacker After Dark. You realize we're 11 days away? 11 days away from the start of the college football season. We'll shift gears to the college gridiron next on a Tuesday evening in Jacksonville, Florida. It's Hacker After Dark.
There's a magic in live radio that crackles with life and energy.
Let's go home!
Your home for live play-by-play is 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Awaken 180 weight loss. I had my weekly check-in with my coach, Kate, earlier today. I'm down 88 pounds since February 20th. 88 pounds. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I'm leaving Jaguar training camp earlier today. One of the security guards out there says, Hacker, you're looking good. Boy, it's so nice to hear that. I was hearing a lot of the opposite of that for a long, long time. But Awaken 180 has changed my life. I had to lose weight. I did lose weight. And I lost the weight because of Awaken 180. And the program, the support I get from them, it's life-changing. That's the best way I can describe it. If it's time for you to change your life for the better, go to awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. 88 pounds since February 20th. You could be their next success story. Awaken 180 weight loss.
1010XL Weekly is out now. Mia here, and text the word weekly to subscribe to our new 1010XL newsletter and for a chance to win Jaguars and concert tickets. Get an inside look at local sports, trending players, station info, and chances to win prizes all year long.
Raid wants to know, what would you do if you could confidently face every day knowing you and your loved ones are protected? Would you sing along to your favorite song at the top of your lungs? Turn off the GPS and let your heart do the guiding. Go to the drive-thru and order one of everything. Feel the buzz of confidence of knowing you are protected with 65 years of insect science in your hands. Raid. Protection for everyone.
It all comes down to Daytona and the Coke Zero Sugar 400 race weekend, August 23rd and 24th. For your chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to the Coke Zero Sugar 400 August 24th, answer this question. Who won last year's Coke Zero Sugar 400? Text the driver's last name only to 641-1010. Who won last year's Coke Zero Sugar 400? Text the driver's last name only to 641-1010 for your chance to win.
Spend lunchtime with the ladies.
Hey, where's your sense of adventure?
They don't cook, but they serve up spicy sports talk.
Sure, it's on the menu.
Helmets and heels.
That is a meal.
Switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans on 1010XL.
For over 40 years, Play It Again Sports has served its customers with a winning, sustainable shopping model. Could say, we were recycling before recycling was cool. Save on quality used sporting goods for baseball, softball, lacrosse, hockey, golf, tennis, and more. Or sell us your gently used gear. We buy all sports, all seasons, and offer cash on the spot. Stop by Play It Again Sports today on Merrill Road near 295 or online at playitagainsports.com.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Hey gang, Hicken here for Zero Res. Man, it is hot outside this time of the year. Many of us are staying inside or going to the pool. Well, my friends at Zero Res are also heating things up. As you know, Zero Res does a great job of cleaning carpets and rugs, but they also clean luxury vinyl planking, tile and grout, fine stone and hardwood floors. And right now, the hottest price of the year, 25% off all hardwood cleaning. That's 25% off tile, LVP, fine stone, and hardwood floors. Zero Res, man, spell it forward. Zero Res, spell it back. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and it is hot out there. You know that, Greg. But Honda has a plan for you on or off the road.
They do. There are a ton of Honda scooters, Honda mini motos, great for the beach. Also get you out in the woods with a Honda side-by-side. Plenty to do and stay cool.
Yeah, four-wheelers, and you can trick them out.
We can. From stereo systems to big builds, we do it all.
Everything's there for you to see. CyclesofJacksonville.com online or on Atlantic near Regency. Check out Cycles of Jacksonville.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Oh, yeah. 11 days away. And this song in particular, let this play a little bit, Denmark. Who needs this song for Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn? Who needs it when you can have this song play for Northwestern and Wisconsin on CBS now?
We'll be live from East Lansing, Michigan with this music. Love it.
The SEC should have had something in the contract to take this with them, man. That's one of the big changes of college football. It kicks off August the 24th. National champion will be crowned January 20th. It will be the longest college football season we've ever had. Denmark, I'm going to talk to Brent Beard about this. I'm going to talk to some of the college guys that we have on pretty frequently over the next 2 weeks about this as well, leading up to the season. We'll start getting those guys on into this week, beginning of next week. I've said all offseason, this is probably the most anticipated, biggest, most consequential college football season we've ever had. 12-team playoff, realignment, everything that goes with it. Am I overstating that? I mean, you're a diehard college football guy.
I think it's going to for most college football fans, they watch it, but you're not pulling most middle of the road people that turn it on, like the big games, like the Alabama LSU, and then they don't really care about everything else. I think it's going to pull a lot of those like casuals that just watch the big games, and I think they're going to watch more this season. I mean, last year was the most watched it's ever been. And I think it's only going to grow from that point.
I mean, you were, normally with a 4-team playoff, let's be honest, and I love college football as much as anybody. You had maybe 7 or 8 teams at the beginning of the year that had a realistic shot to be in the 4. Now, with the 12-team playoff, you could realistically have 20, dare I say 25 teams that you could close your eyes and see be in the college football playoff. I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't see a downside to it.
Yeah, I would say the only thing is it's going to be, what are the games in November going to look like? I'm kind of going to miss the games mean everything where, Alabama's playing Auburn and they're playing for the West and, the loser probably hanging out. And the winner goes to the SEC title game.
Yeah, but how many of those games, honestly, are we going to have? Like a prime example, let's say Florida and Florida State, all right? let's say traditionally, if Florida State enters that game this year 9-2, Florida enters that game 7-4. All right, whatever. Great rivalry game, right? Has absolutely no implications in years past in the college football playoff. They'd both be out. No way Florida State didn't get into it last year when they had 0 losses. They're not going to get into it with a hypothetical 9-2 record going into the season finale. Yet now, that game would mean everything for Florida State. And I think you're going to have a lot of November games that have the exact opposite. Yeah, 1 versus 2 in November, Michigan, Ohio State may not mean as much, but there's 4 or 5 other games that are going to mean everything because of the expanded playoff.
Yeah, I'm, everybody's talking about the October 12th schedule, the Florida-Tennessee. I think LSU's playing Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas, and Ohio State, Oregon. That's all happening in one day, and you're going to have more games like that. I don't know. I'm kind of, I'm still up in the air. Like, I was anti-12-team playoff for a while, and I guess I've just came to the conclusion that, this is going to be the norm. And I kind of like how they're going away from the East, like the divisions in every conference, and they're taking the top 2.
Yeah.
I wonder what the dynamic's going to be for that, but I mean, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for what's going to happen here in a couple of weeks.
Be a lot of trial and error, no question about it. Year number 1, but the 12-team playoff begins. Florida State, Georgia Tech is the first game right out of the gate, and it is 11 days away. 11 days away, and there's actually a handful of games on the 24th. And, oh, by the way, we're only 2.5 weeks away from Georgia Clemson, from Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and, of course, from Florida and Miami at the Swamp in Gainesville. Absolutely love it. Let's continue the college football conversation with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. Brent's joined me for 20-plus years, man. 3 different radio stations. Whenever I'm on, I always have Brent Beard on. He's one of my best friends in the business. And we'll talk college ball next. On a Tuesday evening in Jacksonville, Florida, it's Hacker After Dark.
Jeff Prosser.
It's your rules. I mean, it's your way or the highway. It's Batman and Robin, not Robin and Batman. And I'm sick of it.
Dan Hicken.
Yes, it's my rules.
They are The Drill.
I want a Robin signal in the sky, all right? I'm tired of living in your shadow.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, an asphalt marketer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Sheldon Fish. Today's category, air conditioner repair experts in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, I bet it's going to be Bueller.
Your question. Unlike Jacksonville, the Sahara Desert has a complete lack of air conditioner repair experts. What kind of camels do they ride?
That's not really a question about air conditioner repair.
5 seconds.
But that's a camel question.
Pick a camel, Sheldon.
Arabian dromedary. That's right, Sheldon. Like the majestic Arabian dromedary, the skilled technicians at Bueller Air and Plumbing can repair any make and model of air conditioner the same day you call, making sure you are cool. They don't spit, do they?
No, but Steve, the new guy, has a bit of a hump.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
15,000 workers. I'm Brian Rose from Remedy Staffing. We survey 15,000 blue-collar workers each year to better understand what drives quality and dependability in our workforce. The survey shows when looking for a new job, the initial pay rate, job security, and safety while working are the most important factors for hourly workers. If you're an employer and would like to learn more about the voice of the blue-collar worker, please call us at 904-528-1933.
Are you worried about your roof? Protect it with a lifetime shingle transferable warranty with Universal Roof and Contract. Save up to $1,250 on your roof replacement, plus flexible financing up to 15 years. This expires August 31st and restrictions apply. Call 855-ROOF-HELP or visit universalroof.com to schedule your free roof inspection. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Universalroof.com.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Tony Baselli gets up early Monday morning to share a big football breakfast with you.
Some French toast and sausage patties.
Hall of Fame Monday, 7:20 with Dan and Jeff on the drill. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida on 1010XL.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass, and he told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm Mac with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Googan Nation, it's Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here to tell you this is no dream. The folks at Dreamfinders Homes right now have an unbeatable interest rate for you. You may not think you can afford a Dreamfinders home. Well, think again. Take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. I said it, 2.99%. 15 Jacksonville communities to choose from. Find that dream house and take advantage of an unbeatable rate. Move now, literally. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Atlantic Self-Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self-Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving? They can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. And now we are inside of 2 weeks. Can you believe that? Inside of 2 weeks away from the start of the college football season. Next Saturday, August the 24th, Dublin, Ireland, Florida State, and Georgia Tech will kick off what is maybe the most anticipated and maybe the biggest college football season we've ever had, of course, with the 12-team playoff and all the realignment that has taken shape. With all that being said, let's go to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and you get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Let me add something to what you said. This coming Wednesday is the 10th anniversary of the SEC Network.
Wow.
They've got a special Wednesday night at 8. So that should be interesting. Would you have ever believed that it didn't start 10 years ago? Now, look, there are a lot of things about the network, and I won't belabor the point here, that I like. There's some things that they really probably need to be changed. It's helped the Olympic sports hand in hand, and particularly baseball and softball and basketball, certainly a whole lot more than it has football. I wish they had a little more variety of programs on there, but the network has certainly served its purpose.
Yeah, and, I was going to ask you to expand on that. I mean, how much of a game changer, Brent, was the SEC Network? I remember talking to the late Mike Slive, I believe, over a decade ago. He was the commissioner at the time when the SEC Network started out at media days, and now, lo and behold, here we are a decade plus later. How much of a game changer has that been for not only the conference, but really the whole college football, college athletic landscape?
I think it has to a degree. I mean, they've done. I think they've done okay with breaking news and following up major stories. They really need to have more live programming during the day. I know they've got the early morning show, the one that Peter Burns does and Chris Doring, and I think it's okay. But what I've always thought is that they should have different radio shows from time to time, even if they just do one of them a week. I've always thought that would be interesting. I mean, Feinbaum, his show, Paul Feinbaum, has been renewed. That just happened basically a few days ago. But I still say where it's really helped would be with the women's sports and also with basketball and baseball. I don't know if it's a game changer yet with football unless they have a particular upset. But certainly it has made its mark, and we'll be interested to see what they do the next 10 years.
You get Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. All right, Brent, we talk about Florida State kicking off the college football season next Saturday, August the 24th. A week from Saturday is the official kickoff as they take on Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland. The Seminoles were over here in Jacksonville last week. Now, weather forced them down to the Jaguar Flex Field for part of that. The next day, they were at UNF as previously scheduled. What big takeaways do we have from not only the Florida State stuff here in Jacksonville, but what's transpired over there over the last week or so? They really have had a pretty good week, all in all. I mean, they've got guys like Cam Davis, who is one of their running backs, had a good scrimmage recently, too. So did Sam Singletary. He's done well in the two scrimmages, so they've got some guys who can help them. Now, they won't have Benson from last year, obviously, so they will have Toafila, who will be back, so I think that will help them. DJ Ungalale, their quarterback, I think has done okay. I believe he's been pretty solid. There have been times that Norvell has raved about him. Frankly, they're getting some work with Brock Glenn, the backup, also. So I think all in all, they're doing okay. Now, off the field, they're still trying to get out of the conference. That's a little more complicated than we think it is sometimes, because it's got to go through the court system too. But they're leaving. Again, it's just a matter of time before that happens. And Georgia Tech's got a lot of publicity as of late. Brent Key's done a good job with them. Look, they're not going to win the game, but the Tech can make this thing more competitive than we think they could. You know, it's interesting, and I was going to ask you about that, and we touched upon that briefly last week or a couple of weeks ago. I got a lot of Florida State buddies that have some trepidation about that game. I think people remember the Georgia Tech-Miami game in Coral Gables last year. Now, Cristobal screwed that up at the end, but Georgia Tech was in that game before Cristobal made that big blunder. I mean, this is a Georgia Tech team that played with Miami last year in a Saturday night game on the road. They have a lot of starters back. I think 4/5 of their offensive line returns from last year. I mean, this is not College of Charleston that Florida State is starting with. And the whole Dublin, Ireland thing makes it a little weird. I agree Florida State should win the game. I'd be pretty surprised if they lost, certainly. But I don't doubt that there is a little, trepidation from some Florida State fans. It's not the easiest of openers because of the situation. And you remember Haynes King, who used to be at A&M. He is one of their better quarterbacks at Tech, and frankly is a pretty serviceable quarterback. Yeah, no doubt about that. A couple more for Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. All right, that's the Florida State side of things. Let's save Florida for a little bit. Let's go to Georgia. Another poll is out. I believe the AP poll is out. They love Georgia, just like the coaches poll love Georgia, just like all the preseason magazines love Georgia. I mean, Brent, you hate to say this to put expectations on these young men, I guess. I won't call them kids, but young men on that roster. I mean, but are we at the point now where it's national championship or disappointment for the Dogs this year?
Yeah. I mean, they're in an Alabama type run, or an FSU in the '90s under Bowden type run, where they basically reload. Is a lot of it. I mean, they had a scrimmage on Saturday. Branson Robinson is getting over his injury at running back. Trevor Etienne obviously looks very good. Another freshman running back, Nate Frazier, has a lot of speed, so he is doing well. They are solid on the offensive line, defensive line. On the offensive line, Tate Routledge. Look, he's been playing some at center, so they're cross-training some of these guys. If they've got a weakness, it's probably in their secondary. Malachi Starks is really good, but they need some depth around him, and that's something that's going to be helpful. Kobe Young is a wide receiver who they also really like, but you can tell. I could go on and on about Nazir Stackhouse and Tyron Ingram Dawkins on the defensive line. But to your point, Clemson's going to give them a run. And again, the biggest thing for them is the schedule's better. Alabama on the road, Texas on the road in October, and Ole Miss on the road in November. So if they win it this year, Hank, they will have earned it for sure.
And you led me into my next question. I mean, we'll obviously preview the game more in depth in the next week or two, but we're 2.5 weeks away from Georgia-Clemson. Again, this is not your one AA opponent to start the year. It's in Atlanta. You would expect a Georgia crowd, but there's no doubt there are going to be a ton of Clemson people there. They travel very, very well. It'll be pretty much a neutral site contest. Look, Georgia has more talent than Clemson, but absolutely Clemson could win that game if the Dogs don't come in prepared.
Yeah, they really could. I agree with that. Cape Kludnick needs to really improve as a quarterback. Garrett Riley, who came over from TCU, they think that will be better coming up. They know they've got a incredible defensive line. I mean, their defensive lines usually are top notch. I mean, they got Peter Woods from Alabama and signed him, so they expect great things on him. But to your point, everybody's going to be looking at and waiting on like Florida and Miami and some of these other games. I'm not going to say it's slipping below the radar, but I mean, and to your point, as well as Georgia's playing, that's kind of where they are right now with whoever they play. I'm not going to say it's an afterthought, but it's almost close.
Final moments with Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You hear him weekly right here as well on Hacker After Dark. That leads us to the Gators. They are 2.5 weeks away from probably the biggest game of Billy Napier's tenure so far in Gainesville. And by the way, you could probably say the same thing about Mario Cristobal in Miami. It's the biggest game for both guys, the Florida and Miami opener there in the Swamp. Boy, heat's going to be a factor, Brent. It's a 3:30 kick on August the 31st in Gainesville. I would imagine both Napier and Cristobal are putting their teams through the ringer a little bit to get ready for the elements there in the opener.
Oh, yeah, they'd have to be, wouldn't they? Now, again, the big question is how much is Montrell Johnson going to play? And I've heard he's looked great. I've also heard he's not ready and may not be ready until later on in September. Now, the Travion Webb and also Jaden Baugh are a couple of running backs, but he's not Montrell Johnson. So that's going to be important. Lagway's really looked good. DJ Lagway, the backup quarterback, being alive just lays the ball in these receivers' hands. But Mertz at quarterback is the number one guy he's going to be. That's not going to change whatsoever. And they've got now. Tell me how in a nutshell this describes Florida. Jamarcus Weston is 6'2" to 235. Started his career at wide receiver. Now he's an edge. Bench is over 500. Squats over 600. Power cleans over 300. Ran a 4.4, 22 miles an hour. But what I keep hearing, and I'm curious if you do the same thing, that Florida's got guys like Weston who have got all these intangibles, and who if this was a combine, it would be tremendous, but for whatever reason, it hasn't translated on the field. And heck, I think they've got about 4 or 5 guys like this who this year they really need to show up and prove that they can be real football players.
No, I agree. On paper, it's a very talented roster, but again, games aren't won on paper. It's got to translate to on the field, and a lot of guys have maybe underachieved to this point in their career. Hopefully they'll be given more of an opportunity to do things on Saturday afternoons. And, Brent, certainly the conversation between Napier and Cristobal, I just brought that up. Assuming the game's not a catastrophe, right? Assuming it's not 59-3. If it's a hard-fought competitive game, whoever wins. Which coach is going to have an easier time explaining that loss to their fan base?
Well, I mean, look, Miami's ranked, so you would think that would be a problem for Cristobal. Now, look, here's your reality. Whoever loses a game needs to be efficient. Miami doesn't need another brain-dead situation like they had against Georgia Tech when they gave the ball up instead of falling on it or taking a knee. And Florida doesn't need this incessant 2 guys on the field with the same number or can't get the special teams on to kick field goal. Heck, to me, that's going to be the difference. When Florida loses, did they do I hate to be elementary about this, but I'm going to – did they do dumb things, or did they look good and it just wasn't their day? I know that's being simplistic, but I think Gator fans would understand that logic.
No, both guys combined are under 500 2 years in, so that is absolutely a gigantic contest, no question about it. Brent, leave us with this. I said coming in, maybe the biggest, most anticipated college football season we've ever had. The next time you and I talk, it will be game week, right? Next week, we will be previewing Florida State, Georgia Tech. We're a week and a half away. You've covered the sport for decades. I've known you 20-plus years. You've been on with me on 3 different radio stations over that time. Is this the biggest college football season, the most anticipated you can ever remember?
Yes. And the playoff is all of it. Being able to finally have what we wanted for years in an actual playoff system with more than 4 teams makes this as exciting as it is, because it's not just like the top 10, but it's the top 20 or maybe the top 25 of these fan bases who think, you know what, maybe we could get into this thing now or we couldn't later. So that is why I believe it's making it that exciting. That's the number one thing. The number 2 thing would be I've got to see what the Big Ten looks like with UCLA and USC and Oregon, and how expansion has changed some of these other conferences. There are a myriad of reasons why this is going to be exciting, but the expanded playoff going to 12, and we still think it's going to 14 or 16. in 2 or 3 years, but the 12 is making this thing off the charts.
And we are less than 2 weeks away from it kicking off, and of course the season won't end until a national champion is crowned on January the 20th. You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here as well on Hacker After Dark. Brent, thank you as always. Game week next week. I know you're fired up, pal. We'll talk again soon.
Good. I can't wait. And listen, Hank, before we turn around, our multiple friends on the high school level, young man, will be kicking off too, correct?
It's a great time of year. Friday Night Lights begins in a couple of weeks. The regular season begins a week from Friday. This will be year 18, Brent, of that post-game show. 18 years we've been doing it here at 1010XL, and we absolutely love it. We'll talk again next week, bud.
Can't wait, bud. Take care.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
And thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark, as we now sit a mere 11 days away from the start of the 2024 college football season. Of course, it kicks off Florida State, Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland. It is the longest college football season we will have ever had. Regular season starts on August the 24th. The national champion is not crowned until January the 20th. And it's an interesting thought what I was asking Brent there. And this is one of the things we talked about tonight. Is this the most anticipated college football season we've ever had? It's certainly going to be the longest. It's certainly going to be probably to this point the most consequential, right? With the 12-team playoff and all the realignment. You know, just when you think college football couldn't get any bigger than it is, you have a season like this on the horizon, which is absolutely wild to think about. And, you know, you talk about the local teams. We start with Florida State because they start the year. Have to replace a lot of talent, and we've talked about that, but they got a lot of talent there. They did very well in the transfer portal again. They've done very well on the high school recruiting trail. I expect Florida State to absolutely contend for a playoff spot. They're probably my preseason pick to win the Atlantic Coast Conference. As far as Miami goes, a lot of pressure on Miami because there's a lot of expectations on Miami. Miami fans think this might be their year to break into that first 12-team college football playoff. We'll see. Their schedule is not daunting by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, one could argue if Miami were able to get by Florida in 2.5 weeks on August the 31st, it's pretty clear sailing to at least the middle point of their schedule. So that game against the Gators is all kind of important for Mario Cristobal, but from a 2024 perspective, there's not a lot of resistance after Florida until at least the month of October for Miami. So they could get off to a red-hot start if, and it's a big if they go into Gainesville and knock off the Florida Gators. As far as Georgia goes, well, you hate to say this, but it's almost, well, it's certainly playoff or bust, right? It's certainly SEC championship or huge disappointment. And could you argue it's national championship or bust? And you hate to put that sort of expectation on, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, but that's kind of what Kirby Smart has done there. I mean, every poll, from the AP poll, the coaches poll, the Athlon magazine, Wendy's, Phil Steele, you name it, all the betting odds in Vegas, everybody, and I do mean everybody, loves the Georgia Bulldogs and has them number one to start the year. And if they're number one to start the year, that must mean people think they're going to be number one to end the year. We will see. Again, a much harder schedule for the Dogs than they've had in years past, with road games at Alabama. They go at Texas, at Ole Miss. They open up a neutral site game against Clemson. Obviously, the cocktail party here against Florida. So a little tougher for Georgia than they've had it in years past. And as far as the Gators go, I've been very consistent about this. Here we sit 18 days away from their season opener against Miami. You tell me 7-5 right now, I would sign on the dotted line without hesitation if I were a Florida Gator fan. I think that's the expectation, 7-5. Anything north of 7-5, I think, is a terrific year. Anything south of 7-5 could be deemed as a disappointment. And if you don't go to a bowl game for the second straight year, well, at that point, you probably are looking for potentially a new coaching staff. So, we talk about pressure on Miami, pressure on Georgia. Those are for different pressure-related reasons. For the Gators, obviously, Billy Napier is starting 2024 on the hot seat, and we'll see what happens beginning 18 days from today on August the 31st when they open up against the Miami Hurricanes. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very, very busy Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, my buddy Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. You also hear his call alongside Bucky Brooks on the TV broadcast of the Jaguars preseason game this Saturday against Tampa Bay. Always enjoy talking Jaguar training camp and Jaguar preseason with my buddy Brian Sexton of Jaguars.com. And thank you to both Jaguar tight end Josiah DeGuara and Jaguar running back Dearness Johnson for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. And as always, we thank the Jaguar PR staff for hooking us up and helping us out with those Jaguar training camp one-on-one interviews. DeGuara is an interesting story. I think he's a bubble guy, an absolute bubble guy right now. He's done some nice things in practice. He led the team in receiving yardage on Saturday against Kansas City. Don't sleep on Josiah DeGuara. 4 years in Green Bay, now here in Jacksonville. I think he is certainly a guy that could go either way, and he will certainly be right there on that bubble when the 53-man roster is revealed. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Tuesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Wednesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
At 1010XL,
wax on, wax off.
Our sports experts undergo extensive training.